Can you see how we all want to be understood? And that's why we try and convince people, because we want them to see what we see. Do you know how much maturity it takes to not need the ones you love most to see what you see and to understand you anymore? That takes a lot of courage to not have to convince anyone of what you know. Thoughts on wanting to save family, let them die into their sleep. Sounds harsh, but that's the only way they'll wake up. If you try and take away someone's suffering, you've taken away their chance of waking up. It's really not trusting someone to go on their own path and needing to save them. It's a mistrust in yourself and a need for them to see what you see because you don't trust yourself. Do you see? Also, it's arrogance. You could be pulling them away from a path they need to go down to have enough of their bullshit. You could be keeping them in the shallow waters when really they need to be plunging into the depths of ignorance. So it's really an arrogance game. And I'm there with you, I've tried as well. What is the most effective advice you can give that summarizes the best way, the essence of spirituality? Get out your own way. Get fed up of your own bullshit. This is all true, but my path is also pointing out the system as a whole, the fact that we are extremely in debt to a tiny percentage of global oligarchs who are a parasite on the real economy. Have you ever met an oligarch? I agree to an extent on the imbalance of wealth, but every single person on this planet has chosen to experience this exact theme right now. There are no bad guys, there are only characters. The parasites need food, and you are that food. So stop being the food. That's your real reply to the oligarchs. Activism doesn't really get anyone anywhere. Be the demonstration. Give them no food to feed on. What are they going to feed on if everyone starts disallowing that? We've got to be cutthroat about this, and we've got to be ruthless about it. Otherwise, we fall into disempowerment. But I do understand what you mean, the imbalance of wealth. But let's make a change. Let's not blame the oligarchs. They're filling a space to open up through an experience that we've all bought into of disempowerment, victim, oppressor. We've all been the oppressor and the oppressed in many lifetimes. That's why we know the dynamic. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. How have you let go of the past? The past is just an image in your mind that you insist on bringing through. It's just a momentum. It will always try and come through to tell you what you are, what you've been, what you've experienced. But there is no past, really, that you have to bring through. Why did you cut long hair? Just felt like a change. What are you drinking? Heineken. What's your thoughts on eating meat? I love it. Pleasure does feel unsafe at times. That's the only thing that blocks people from receiving pleasure, is it feels unsafe. Maybe you're not earning enough money or protecting yourself socially or allowing yourself to let go in sex or let go in a social situation. The pleasure of letting down your guard is very softening. It's always about unsafety. Yeah, somatic work was big here. Why such a sudden change? I wouldn't say it was sudden, but there was definitely a moving beyond somatic work, which you all must do at a certain point, unless you already have done. Somatic work is really undoing the belief in somatic work. You can't work somatically, but you can shift your perceptions and feel the sensations that need to be felt in order to release yourself from this paradigm. Because on one level of reality, it feels like there's energy stuck in the body, doesn't it? It feels like there's frozen energy in the body that needs to be transmuted. But this is still just a phase to loosen up the fixations we have on keeping that down. Do you ever have a plan or just live moment to moment? One thing I want to install in all of you is this, knowing that you don't need to plan. Trust the spontaneity, because this is where we're going, like Bashar says. It will all become so synchronistic, you'll wonder why you ever needed a plan, ever. For anything. Planning becomes such a heavy mentality. And when you need to plan something, you do it like naturally, it just comes through. Maybe you need to book an Airbnb or you need to do this. You never have to overthink it whatsoever. And it's a trust in that. If energy is in the body, then what are we transmuting? This is why I'm saying go beyond transmutation. You're dropping the stories, that's what you're dropping. Strip the sensations bare of the rationalization of story, and all you're left with is raw energy. Outside of time, outside of story. Hey Peter, by the way, can you talk about joining in non-linear, non-physical domains for training, open up new potentials? That's so funny, right? Because let's say there's 126 people on here, or 135. I would say anyone that is would be on this call right now. And that's where we're going, isn't it? We chose to incarnate right now to experience what it'd be like to be in this density and to start breaking open what it means to communicate, what it means to meet outside, still being housed within consciousness. The one thing we're going to start to learn as well, which I learned from Alice Bailey, was the way that the consciousness is housed within the body between the heart and the pineal, being able to keep it housed within the heart, unravel it from the pineal. And so consciousness can go off like it does in dream state and still come back into the body. And we don't have to meet in these all the time. We can meet in consciousness with intention. So the project of this lifetime really, which has had so much support so far in terms of energy and potential investors if they want to, humanity is going to go down 3 very strange routes. One of them is AI. Right, we all know this, mechanics, robotics, everyone's gonna, well, not everyone, but everyone in that lane is gonna have chips. They're all gonna be doing all of this. Now, you're gonna have another group, once open contact with ETs come in, that they're gonna start to hybridize off in a weird way with other ET. My interest is keeping that apart and having what we are right now, to have a lane to stay in our evolution without going into AI, without going into the hybridization of ET races, and to keep the human template as pure after the first genetic modification from the Sasquatch into what we are today. So this is the project that in the mind is pushing it apart. So we have our free will to decide that there's one strand of the human collective. It may be interplanetary, we may have to leave this planet, whatever. But there's so much in this as passion to stay within the template without having to hybridize or go into chips and, the organic primary nature of consciousness being the value system. Because humans have such sacred templates that we can't just let dwindle into other things. Nicole Ortega charges her sessions thousands of dollars. How is this possible and so spiritual? What an amazing teaching she's doing. She's bringing up in you exactly what you need to see. What's wrong with that? I love Nicole for what she does in really aggravating people. And I understand, because it can be aggravating to what does spiritual mean? Well, you can't charge this amount. But she has many clients. But what she's doing in the world is cracking open belief systems around wealth. There's nothing spiritual about doing everything for free. In fact, it's a guilt complex. Hippie mentality. I used to charge a lot less, and people wouldn't take the session seriously as well. And now I charge way more and I have more clients. There are people that want to, because when someone puts that money down, it's energy and they commit to the session. And it always flows back. Energy, the more you give, the more you receive. Here as well, when you go and get an Airbnb, get a lovely Airbnb and the energy comes in. Do you see? Let go of that belief system you have about what it means to be spiritual. She's a great teacher. At the end of the day as well, if someone's going to be like this with their energy and doesn't want to commit to your session, what does that say about them? You don't have to charge thousands, but charge the amount that you feel you're valued at. And it's so spiritual. It's more spiritual because it's cracking open belief systems around poverty. There is no lack. You don't suffer from lack. You suffer from your beliefs around what it means to receive what you're worthy of. That's what you suffer from. You can live whatever foot you put down, the universe supports. Always. You just have to actually trust that step.